We originally 48 hours ago, when Shohei Ohtani was still a couple homers and a couple steals away from 50-50, we were looking at this Friday episode and we said, we're going to say goodbye to the bad teams. And we're still going to do that because I think it's a fun exercise and a good time to kind of shuffle those teams into the winter.
But then Shohei Ohtani said hello to one of the worst teams with an all-time performance yesterday on Thursday.
Yes.
That propelled him past the 50 home run, 50 steal mark, becoming the first player in baseball history to accomplish such a feat. And so the first segment of today's show will be celebrating that accomplishment. Jordan, before we hop into some specifics, can you just read out Ohtani's line from yesterday, his batting line?
Yes. So Mr. Ohtani yesterday in a 20-4 victory in a baseball game over the Marlins of Miami, went 6 for 6 already. Again, 6 games, don't have those very often. 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 2 stolen bases, and as you mentioned, 10 runs batted in. That is a 16 total bases for the day. 10 of the 20 runs were driven in by Ohtani. The leadoff hitter, 10 RBI from a leadoff hitter is hilarious. And this game was just an avalanche of fun facts. For all of this to happen at once, you know, this has been kind of a slow build, a gradual march towards this milestone previously thought to be unthinkable, unfathomable, unreachable. And remember, this dude hit a walk-off grand slam to get to 40-40 in the same game that he got his 40th steal. And we were like, well, that was ridiculous. This dude is a superhero. This dude is a movie character. This dude is not real. And then he's like, I got you. That was actually not even the appetizer. You were just smelling what was to come, because what we just saw on Thursday was possibly the greatest offensive performance we have ever seen in a single Major League Baseball game. It is at least one of them, and the fact that it was to get to somewhere that no player had ever reached before is overwhelming. It is an overwhelming thing, as so many things about Ohtani are.
He just said, I'm going to do this now. And then he did it. Now, I don't want to be a party pooper. This is the Marlins. I don't know if the greatest offensive performance of all time can occur against the 2024 Marlins. However,
especially when the last one was against Vidal Brujan, right? So like
a position player. Yes.
Yes.
However, what I really did love about last night is the talent gap between Ohtani and other Major League Baseball players was so evident, so obvious, and so on display, right? Where it was so clear that he's operating in a league of his own, beyond what the Miami Marlins at this point in time can possibly begin to dampen his skills down. So I think you had a good idea here, which was we should just draft outrageous things about this performance. And so, I mean, it's one of the greatest things we've ever seen. I guess before we do that, how did you take this in? Like, what was your experience of taking this in?
Mm-hmm. So I was watching it. You know, I had kind of pre-written this thing in advance of the Ohtani 50-50, but I was still kind of polishing it up this week, expecting that I had a little bit more time than apparently I actually did. And so I was monitoring it, and that first swing of the game, where he comes within a few feet of a home run off the right center field wall, I was like, oh boy, we're in for a long one. And the fact that the Dodgers kept turning the lineup over and he kept coming up, and the first home run goes to the moon, and then he goes for the triple and he steals third immediately after the double to get to 50 steals. It was just kept building. I was like, oh my God, like we're heading straight towards this, to the point where now, you know, I'm talking to our editor Amy, it's like, oh, we're on full alert. Like, this could very much be happening. But the other part about this, that as this blowout is ensuing, I start to realize, like, oh no, like he might hit his 50th against a position player. I had that thought earlier in the game. I was like, this is trending with the way the score is, with the Marlins having already used a bunch of pitchers. Like, they might end up needing to put in Vidal Brujan for the 50th. And I was like, that would be both the funniest thing ever and the most unfortunate thing ever. Now, fortunately, well, unfortunate for our friend Mike Bauman, that was not the case. We still got that later with Brujan, but that was part of the story I was watching. I was like, wait a minute, this might be heading towards something like that. And then the other thing about it was, as you mentioned, he just looked, I mean, it was the spray chart alone from this game, right? He's got the 2 homers to the upper deck and right, which you only see a handful of times over the course of a season at this ballpark. You've got the homer, the 50th homer, just a line drive to left field. You've got the triple or attempted triple, to the left center field gap. You get to see him running. It was everything. It was everything that Ohtani has become as an offensive player in one game. And yeah, so that's how I took it. And I was sitting here at this desk kind of watching it in awe, but how did you watch it?
I was in the press box at Citi Field preparing for the opposite of Shohei Ohtani, which is Taijuan Walker, and sitting next to athletic writer Matt Gelb. And we had the game up when he hit the 49th homer.
Okay,
we were
so
like,
first
oh my God, this is wild. Mm-hmm. And then we get the alert on our phone like he's coming up and going for 50. And we're like desperately trying to pull it up through the bad press box Wi-Fi to get it up, and Matt gets it up like in time. First pitch, home run. And there's something so beautiful about like taking a home run in like that, where you turn on a ball game and it's immediately a live home run. And for that experience to be Ohtani's 50th was very, very cool to experience. Okay. I'm going to go first.
Yeah, again, like this is just going to be kind of scrambled. Like there's so much to get to that we'll we'll go rapid fire. So just things about the game yesterday. It can be a statistical thing. It can just be a visual thing, aesthetic thing, quote, whatever. So go ahead.
Ohtani before yesterday was the active player with the most regular season games without a postseason appearance. And the Dodgers would have won yesterday, even if he had been, in the Bahamas. Sure. However, for him to say, oh, no, I'm going to be in the playoffs now, I think is outstanding.
Yes. And by the way, then I was thinking like, wait a minute, we've never seen Shohei like do a champagne celebration. Like we haven't seen him pop bottles in a major league clubhouse. I honestly don't remember how hard they partied after Japan won. Like I know obviously there was a celebration, but the vision as we've seen with the goggles that we've seen with the Guardians and the Brewers and all these things, like we've not seen Ohtani do that. Now the Dodgers have opted to delay that, right, until they win the division here in the next couple of days. But that was another thing that I'm now looking forward to. And to your point, the fact that was also a part of this game is pretty astonishing. That is a great pick. All right, I am going to go with the fact that this was also the Dodgers' single season home run record. This is something that I don't really think anybody was even talking about as he was going towards this, because this march towards 50 steals was also happening. But the Dodgers have been around for a long time and have had some pretty good players. And the fact that he has now the single season Dodgers home run record passing Sean Green. Sean Green, conveniently, also one of the players with a case for one of the greatest offensive games ever, which was his 4 home run game and 19 total bases. Like that is one of the very few where you could be like, that might have actually been a better day than what Shohei had yesterday. But passing Sean Green there, and now being, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff with the Dodgers. Like he's having one of the greatest seasons at home. I know this was on the road, at home in Dodger Stadium history. Like his OPS at Dodger Stadium is one of the top 5 that the stadium's ever seen in decades and decades of baseball. All these things, it's just all these like little things that are just, he's also doing that it's hard to also notice. And so that's a fun one though, because Dodger franchise home run record is a huge deal, and it's just like a footnote.
Respectfully, this is not the Diamondbacks or the Mariners or even the Angels home run record, right? The Dodgers have been around since before the Ottoman Empire, or like they're older than the World Series, this franchise. And Shohei Ohtani has more home runs in a single season than anybody has ever had before.
Yep, pretty good. So what do you got? What do you got next?
I think almost getting the cycle. I think him getting thrown out, or 4 homers,
right.
I'll group those together.
Yeah.
First at bat, it's 2 feet from a homer, top of the wall, laser to right center, almost a homer, almost 4 homer game. Then the triple, almost a cycle to left, where he stretches it to a triple and gets thrown out, which I really found refreshing to see an iota of humanness, of mortality emanating from Shohei Ohtani was reassuring for me.
Yeah. Because he obviously didn't get out otherwise. So he was granted.
He did get out yesterday.
He
6 for 6 is deceiving.
That was the time. That's true. That was the time for him to get out. But yeah, it could have also been a cycle. And it couldn't have been both, right? Because the one that was almost a homer was the double, and then the one that was almost a triple was also the double. But anyway, but yeah, it's just it's outrageous. That is definitely a good one. All right, I'm gonna go with just like apparently it was his first career 3 homer game. So that's another reason why I felt like I had more time to finish this 50-50 piece. Is it's like, oh well, Ohtani hasn't had a 3 homer game yet, so we can at least like push it forward a couple days. I mean, even if he gets 2, and he's like, oh no, I got 3. Now, connected to that is the fact that the third did come off Vidal Brujan, which I know I'm adding in fun facts here. First ever home run against a position player.
Really?
Yes. I believe he had faced a position player a couple of times before. Cody Clemens got him out at one point, which is hilarious.
Do you know why that was the thing? He just has too much respect for two-way players. He understands what it takes.
That's funny. I thought it was the Angels were never winning by that much.
That's also funny.
Which is also true. But and actually, truly, probably sort of part of it. But yeah, that was the other thing. As I was like, has he ever had one of those before? 222 career home runs? I know that was the first one off position player. So congratulations to Vidal Brujan.
Marlins Park becoming the default setting for Shohei Ohtani moments of excellence.
Yes.
Is so funny.
Incredible.
In 2020, when Texas became just the default stadium in which all baseball ever occurred, this has me thinking of what is the default MLB stadium, right? And for Shohei Ohtani, it is Marlins Park. This is where he won the WBC with Japan, and now it is the site of the most impressive moment of his career so far.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, he had accomplished so much in his major league career before the WBC and since the WBC. But him striking out Mike Trout is still the first highlight. I mean, we've talked about that moment. Like, that's still the first immediate highlight that you think of.
Remember, he pitches too.
He does pitch. And the fact that this, I'm going to draft that. He's apparently going to go back to LA now and have some meeting about, what's going on? You going to pitch this
How's your elbow?
We'll continue. He threw a bullpen on Wednesday or whatever. Anyway, so that's ridiculous. But yes, Marlins Park. What a win for Lone Depot.
Huge for the company.
I mean, when that sponsorship came through, I still haven't adjusted. I'm still not going with the capital or lowercase L loan. But now, I mean, they're like, what a win, because this is the spot.
Oh yeah, Marlins were like selling commemorative tickets of the game.
As they should. All right, I am gonna go with LeBron tweeting about this.
Yeah.
A lot of other athletes tapping in here, noticing that Shohei has done this. And not just that LeBron tweeted. We got Embiid tweeting. We got Mahomes tweeting about it. Embiid just tweeting.
Those are baseball guys.
Yeah, well, Mahomes for sure. Embiid, we've seen him at major league games. That's cool. Embiid tweeting, yup, Ohtani is the GOAT. Good point. Mahomes had a tweet. But the LeBron tweet is really tremendous. He quote tweeted the MLB highlight and in all caps said, "This guy is unreal," with 4 exclamation points. Wowzers. LeBron just dropped a wowzers. I mean,
has he ever wowzered? I'm going to see.
So I looked at this. He has wowzered a couple times in his Twitter history, but not in a long time. And so I will say, I'm not sure I've ever said wowzers genuinely, but now I will, because LeBron, he's made it cool again.
It's very Scooby-Doo coded.
It is very Scooby-Doo. Which again, maybe ages LeBron a little bit there. As of course, we know he's turning 40 in a couple of months. This is just an amazing. This tweet got 100,000 likes. But I've honestly been surprised LeBron hasn't tweeted about Ohtani more. But this was a good moment for him to kind of log on.
I see your LeBron tweet, and I'll raise you a Magic Johnson tweet. Magic Johnson, who is one of the funniest Twitter users, tweeted, "On behalf of the Dodgers ownership group, I want to congratulate Shohei on being the first in MLB history to have a 50-50 season. Dodger fans, we got a chance to be a part of MLB history." I think you've already been a part of it. Even if you get bounced in the first round, I think that this is what that is.
Okay.
Did either of the presidential candidates tweet about this?
Oh, that's a good question.
You bring one up. I'm going to do some digging.
I know Manfred put out a statement officially, and we got some. I don't know if So we can check on that. I'm going to bring up something that I know else you're going to want to talk about. I have just a couple more that I definitely want to hit, and there's so many more fun facts about the game that we're missing. But two other things I want to bring up. One, I know you'll definitely want to talk about, and another I doubt you noticed. The first is Skip. We got to talk about Skip.
Got to talk about Skip.
Skip Schumacher, the manager of the Marlins. Now, during the game, remember, when he comes up to face Mike Baumann, they're already up by 1 million, but first base is open. There is a world, there is a manager somewhere that is too focused on, making sure, trying to win the game, whatever, that puts Ohtani on first base, that throws up the floor like Garrett Cole and Rafi Devers and says, have a walk over there. You can keep your OBP, but you ain't getting another home run against us. And the camera in the game essentially caught, and it seemed like the umps looked at Skip and were like, do you want to walk him? Skip essentially said, F that. He's like, no. And afterwards, he pretty much confirmed that was his mindset with an incredible post-game presser where he was like, that would be disrespectful to him, to our own pitchers. Like, it is about trying to get him out. And while it was, I believe his quote was, a bad day for the Marlins, a great day for baseball. And Skip's whole
That's most days.
True. Skip's whole presser was an incredible display of his understanding the situation. And he didn't want Mike Baumann to give that up, but he also wanted Mike Baumann to try to get him out. And the reality is, I think that most pitchers, they want to try to get Ohtani out, because especially Mike Baumann in this spot, the 5th team he's pitched for this season, if he can get Ohtani out in that spot, that is just as memorable as being the one that, he'd rather try to do that and then end up on the highlight reel than just walk him, because that's going to get way more grief.
So you don't have to tell me how great Skip is.
Of course.
I'm number one Skip fan club member.
100%.
What's the other thing you noticed?
The last two things quickly. The one is just a tiny thing. So I mentioned monitoring. I'm like, hey, who's going to pitch in this game? Right. I was like, are we going to see Vidal Brujan? What is going to happen? But there was another gentleman in the Marlins bullpen that I was like, oh my gosh, what if this guy comes in and gives up this home run? And it's Jesus Tinoco, who allowed Aaron Judge's 62nd home run 2 years ago as a mop-up man in September for the Rangers, and had pitched 2 nights earlier, and the Marlins were running out of arms. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this dude going to somehow be at the center of 2 of the biggest highlights of the 21st century, if not baseball history? But no, he didn't come into the game, so it didn't end up working out. But that was funny. I was like, oh my gosh, please come in, Jesus Tinoco.
Jesus Tinoco, who is 10th in WAR this year for the Marlins.
Very concerning. Yeah, nice slider. And then the last thing about Ohtani here, Jake, before we take a break. I'm not saying he's going to get to 60-60, but I am saying he has 6 more games against the Colorado Rockies, which is the worst pitching staff in the league. And I don't think he's going to sit any more games out. The Dodgers are still pushing for the top seed in the National League. Maybe he sits a game at the end of the season. But I don't know, man. Like this, he's still adding numbers here. We're still compiling, and this. I guess I'm just saying the season is not quite over. So 60-60 is probably not happening, but these numbers are going to keep climbing.
I can't wait to be a grumpy old head who tells his grandchildren that whoever their favorite player is not as good as what I saw. And I think yesterday was one of those moments I'll remember forever.
100%. So yeah, if you want more Ohtani stuff, I'm going to write another thing next week, just kind of taking his whole season into stock. As I mentioned, I already wrote about it and talked about how if Mookie doesn't get hurt and he doesn't move to the leadoff spot, this might not happen. I really, really do believe that, because that's when he started running all the time. And obviously he got more plate appearances and all these things. So many things about this season that are incredible. And now we'll get to see him in October as well.